Hi grade 9s, welcome to Worksheet Cloud Grade 9 English. We have a full week ahead of us. I hope that you had a wonderful long weekend. The second one we had in a row, quite a treat. Now we're back to a bit of reality this morning. If today you feel you need some clarity, some extra information, please feel free to contact grade9 at worksheetcloud.com. Email, pop your query or your question over, and we'll make sure to answer and help you as best we can. Right, so without further ado, as I've said, it is a full week ahead this week. I need to wrap my head around that, but we're going to do it. We're going to be great. We're going to be amazing this week, and we're going to learn a lot together. Okay, so I always like to do a bit of today in history. And if you have a look today, obviously it is the 4th of May. And in history today, in 1979, Margaret Thatcher became the first woman Prime Minister in the UK. She was nicknamed the Iron Lady for her uncompromising leadership style, and she held power for 11 years. Right, so I'm hoping and wishing our government well in all of their decision making. I know that this is very difficult for every single person, and I just hope that you're following the rules and you are staying home where necessary and spending time with your family, catching up on academics, and using it to do good. Okay, so what will you need for today? Pen, paper, attention to detail. Alright, so the reason I say attention to detail is because we're getting into quite nitty-gritty elements of work today. You will need a pen and paper. It is going to be easier. I often say to you, don't worry, you can just think about the answers. But we're doing an activity today that's a lot of connecting and illustrating and trying to figure out what everything means. So I suggest if you haven't got pen and paper, pause, go grab, meet you on the other side. Okay, so today we are doing informal and formal register in letters. So letters being informal, friendly letter, and then the formal letter. And we'll look at the register in the way that we handle both. Now you might be thinking, what does ma'am mean by register? Well, firstly, let us never underestimate the power of a well-written letter. So you might be thinking, what's register? Why do we have to learn to write letters? I can just WhatsApp. I can just direct or DM on Instagram. But a letter is extremely important, especially in the business world. So your formal letters are going to be very, very important for you. When you apply for a job, you have to give a formal letter of application attached to your CV. So these things are very real and very relevant. And as Jane Austen said, don't ever underestimate the written word. Alright, so register is the way that you speak or write. Now, your register will change according to your situation. For instance, when I'm at work and I'm speaking to work colleagues or people in my team, I often take on a more formal register. However, when I'm with my family or my friends or at a sports match, I'm way more informal. So formal, high vocab, no contractions, informal, colloquial, everyday language. So your register depends on your situation. Okay, so what is register? It's the way someone uses language in different functions. So register is not your register class at school only. It is also the way you use language. Formal and informal. Now, informal register, it's general information, a conversation between school friends. You can use colloquialisms. Whereas formal register, is normally information that's carefully selected. You keep your feelings very much composed. You use complete sentences. And it is very much a conversation that takes place at work or ceremonies or important formal occasions. Your school prize giving will take on a formal register, whereas your sports match, the way you might speak to your friends, is very informal. All right, so let's have a look at what defines formal and informal register in terms of their differences. Okay, so formal register, you have to take note of these. You will not use contractions in formal register. So have a look here. They've been fighting all day. He's very busy. No, it's they have, he is. No contractions in formal language. Also, you will avoid personal pronouns. I planned many different outcomes. We feel. No. Many different outcomes were planned or it is felt. What you can notice there is also that we've changed it from active to passive voice. So to avoid personal pronouns, we have changed the voice. Also, you will add relative pronouns. The secretary I talked to was very rude. The secretary to whom I talked was very rude. You'd probably change that either way, but what you will notice and what you must take into your writing is no contractions, avoid personal pronouns, rather give the passive voice, add relative pronouns to formalize your vocabulary. Okay, let's do an exercise together. So listen carefully. You're going to get a piece of paper and a pen, or you have already, and you're going to have a look. There are 9 sentences on the one side, 9 on the other side. Anytime you think, so you can actually just number 1 to 9, 1 to 9. Anytime you think that the sentence given to you is informal, I want you to put a little circle next to it. So you'll write number 1, circle, if that's what you think. If you think it's formal, put a triangle next to it. Right? So, for instance, like we said, maybe you think number 1 is informal, so you write 1, just draw a circle. If you think number 2 is formal, write number 2, triangle. Go all the way to number 9, then start again in another column, number 1 to 9. Okay, so I'd like you to pause the video because you're going to need some time for this. And then I'll see you afterwards. Press play again, please, and we'll chat about the answers. Alright, so I hope you were able to label everything. So I'm going to go through it with you. Remember, circles are informal, colloquial, triangles are formal. That stinks. Okay, that is 100% completely informal. It was like $5, so I was okay. Informal. I think he was totally wrong. Informal. Now we get to a bit more of the formality. His bag contains many things. They should have rather said items, but it is formal. He discovered that the sheep had escaped. Formal. She asked if it was adequate. Formal. She seems to be pretty sad. Okay, now we can see the language slipping again, so it's informal. Hello, how are you today? The children there are quite loud. Both formal expressions. Let's go to the top. He may not be correct about that. Very diplomatic, very formal. He found out that the sheep got away. Guys, got is extremely informal. In fact, I would like you to take the word got and throw it out of your language. She appears to be upset about something. Formal. That is too bad. Quite formal. She asked if it was okay. Okay makes it informal. Those kids are wicked noisy. Informal slang. What's up with you? Very informal. He has a lot of stuff in his bag. Again, stuff. Informal. The item was $5 and I found that acceptable. Alright, so that is formal. So I hope that you labeled it correctly and appropriately. It's quite easy to pick up on informal because it's very slang. You can almost imagine that sort of text speak. What I'd like you guys to do now is I want you to consider column 1 and column 2. You've already written or drawn your columns. I now want you to link up. So you've said, or we've said, that stinks is informal. So go find the formal on this side. That's too bad. Draw an arrow to connect them. Right, let's see. Here we said his bag contains many things. We said items actually. We said it was formal, so now I need to go look. Where's the informal one? Oh, he has a lot of stuff in his bag. Draw an arrow. Okay, so press pause, connect your columns quickly, and then we'll look at the answers. Right, so I've drawn the arrows here. I'll go through it quickly. That stinks. Rather say, that's too bad. I was like $5, so it's okay. No, all the way at the bottom, the item was $5 and I found that acceptable. I think he was totally wrong. He may not be correct about that. His bag contains many things. He has a lot of stuff in his bag. He discovered that the sheep had disappeared or had escaped. He found out that the sheep got away. She asked if it was adequate. She asked if it was okay. She seems to be pretty sad. She appears to be upset about something. Hello, how are you doing today? Versus, what's up with you? The children there are quite loud. Those kids are wicked noisy. So now you can see by connecting how you can try and formalize the sentence so it doesn't have that slang element to it. I'm going to now look at ways in which they could have even taken it further with this exercise. When it says here, that's too bad, rather actually, that is awful, because that makes it sound even more vocabulary intensive. Where it says here, his bag contains many things, rather, his bag is full to capacity with many items. The children are quite loud. The children are speaking above the acceptable equilibrium. Some of this is a bit over the top. Don't mind me. And he discovered that the sheep had escaped. He discovered that the sheep had escaped their confinement. Right, so I'm just trying to show you that when you are increasing your vocabulary to a formal register, try and make sure you use bigger words, more extensive vocab, no contractions, and try to make it sound as unbiased and objective as possible. Alright, now how does this tie in with letter writing? In an informal letter, in a friendly letter, you can use informal colloquial language. Right? In a formal letter, you have to use very formal language. So I've got 2 videos. We'll watch a video, look at the example, and then move on. This one is how you can write a formal letter, and then we'll look together at the actual example of a layout. And then afterwards, we're going to look at another video of an informal letter, again with the layout. Okay, let's get going. about writing a formal letter. Now let's look at the actual format. What does it look like? So you will see here that it starts with your address and the date, right? So always write down your address first. Then you have to write down who you are actually writing to. Is it the manager, the principal, the CEO of a company? And then you write down their address. You don't do the date again, you've already got it. Whenever you see a clear gap, it means a line has been left open. Use salutation, which means the greeting. Because it's formal, we are going to say dear sir or madam. If you know who you're writing to, Peter Jones, then you write dear Mr. Peter Jones. If you know you are writing to a woman but you don't know the name, then dear madam. Very formal. You then have to give a title sentence, right? So the title sentence must be underlined and capitals. So this is to a restaurant and it's complaints about food. I am writing to complain about a meal we had in your restaurant yesterday. Always start with giving the specifics, right? Then it goes into the problem. Then it asks for a solution. Yours faithfully, not sincerely, yours faithfully, sign, and your name. Right, so your formal letter is quite structured. No contractions, high vocabulary, and make sure you always follow this exact structure. Let's have a look now at what we can expect from an informal. We'll again start with a video, and then we'll take a picture diagram of what it looks like and the different elements. Alright, so now we're looking at the friendly informal. Your vocabulary can be quite colloquial. You are allowed contractions. The informal letter also has a lot less to remember in terms of structure. So you again put your address and the date. Then you can go straight into your salutation. Dear, and then write the person's name. Obviously, you have to know who you're writing to. You then give them the reason for writing. And you talk about whatever it is. You then ended much more friendly, colloquially, hope to see you soon, lots of love, take care, and your name. So this is much less formal. You guys can see if I just go back quickly. The formal letter has a lot more to remember. Address, date, recipient, recipient address, salutation, title, purpose, problem, solution, yours faithfully, signature, name, mouthful. Whereas your informal letter, address and date, salutation, why you're writing, develop your details, and say farewell. All right, so your register in a letter all depends on who you are writing to and what the purpose is. Right, so try and find a pen pal project. There's quite a few online. Just make sure you do look at the verified ones. And what happens there is you can get assigned to pen pals all around the world, and you post letters. Very much sort of traditional letter writing. It also just ties in so nicely with culture, and it allows you to express yourself in the art of letter writing. Because, as has been said by Liz Carpenter, what a lot we lost when we stopped writing letters. You can't reread a phone call. Right, so I know you can reread a text, but phones crash. So letter writing, it's such a nice way or a good way of just keeping that historical bond and connection. Alright guys, you've got this. You've got this week down. I know that you're going to just completely make a success of it. If you hit a down moment, or if you hit a moment where you're angry and just not feeling yourself, it's okay. You've got this. Everything's going to be fine. Thanks so much, Grade 9s, for joining today. This lesson was brought to you by Worksheet Cloud and me, Mrs. Nautier. I'm excited to see you guys again tomorrow. I know we don't have a lot of breaks this week, but let's make the most of it. Bye, guys.